Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, whole women. Good morning, ladies. It's a beautiful Saturday morning in the city of Port Harcourt where I reside, and I'm sure it's a beautiful Saturday morning also where you reside. Thank you so much for joining this live broadcast for our coaching hangout for the month of June that we have tagged Living Fulfilled. My name is Izine Okulehe. I'm sure you already know me. I am a optometrist, self-actualization coach, and the basic reason why Whole Women's Network exists is simply to raise kingdom women, that will go ahead to dominate their spheres of impact, living a life of, spheres of influence, living a life of impact, of influence, and of affluence while staying through to their core values. Without much ado, today is going to go an interesting way, a very interesting way. I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have with me my beautiful, beautiful, able, lovely sister, Amara Amogo, who would, two of us together, we would be sitting and weighing in to the conversation tag living fulfilled. So just a brief introduction of what today is supposed to achieve. I have discovered through my years of coaching and through my years of mentoring also that one of the reoccurring things that I keep hearing from mentors, young ladies, mentees, even people older than me, who seem to, for some people who have not really achieved anything in life, and for people who have achieved a lot. So it doesn't matter whether you are actualized in that sense, but it just cuts across all, every aspect of a woman. And a woman is saying, okay, I have gotten to this level in my career. I have achieved this and I have achieved that, but there is this emptiness I feel inside. I am not happy. I feel dissatisfied, and I just feel like there is more. And a woman that is telling you this sometimes are people who have doctorate degrees and C-suite leaders, have very good financial statements, and you're wondering, what then? What exactly are you looking for? And they keep saying, I just feel uncomfortable. I feel very dissatisfied. And then on the other hand, you have people who are starting their journey in life as well, and they are also saying the same thing. I am not happy. I feel dissatisfied. I feel like there is more to life. I feel like I should be living a life that is more fulfilling than the life I am living now. And that is what bettered, or that's why we organized this webinar, this coaching hangout for the month of June, tagged Living Fulfilled, because it has been discovered that the primary need of human beings, most especially women, in fact, all human beings, is to live a fulfilled life, is to live a life that is actualized, is to self-actualize, meaning to have happiness in what you do and to feel like you are contributing something to the world. So this is the reason why we'll be weighing into, this topic today, and also to expound to you how to live fulfilled, and to also show you that it is possible to live fulfilled, not just by what you are doing, but by who you can be first and foremost. So without much ado, I'd like to welcome Amarachi Amugo, my darling sister. I'm going to hand over to her while she tells us a bit about herself. Amarachi,
Amazing,
over to
amazing,
you.
amazing.
Good
Yes,
morning.
thank you so much. Good morning to you. An amazing morning. I feel so blessed to be here on this platform. And I want to say thank you, Dr. Izine, for this amazing opportunity. And I am sure we would be in for an amazing time. I'm so looking forward to this because the title of this event, Living Fulfilled, is something that is I hold so dear to my heart because I don't know how people can go through life without that drive towards fulfillment, without that sense of why am I here? Why, what am I supposed to be doing here? What value am I supposed to be bringing to this world? So thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. I don't know if there's
Yeah.
something you would want me to say first, or I'm hoping that this is going to be a conversation because I would really love people to chime into this because we learn. I believe so much in learning, and every time I have an opportunity, even though it's a speaking opportunity, I also see this as an opportunity for me to learn something different, something new. So I hope the people on this call, or the people who will be joining into this call, will also see this as an opportunity, because a lot of times we talk about opportunities, and when opportunities such as this presents itself, we take it for granted, or we don't take it too seriously, and or sometimes you label it whatsoever. Oh, this is not the kind of opportunity that I'm seeking, and maybe that is something that is that we really need to pay attention to as people. Why do I have this opportunity? Because I believe that God brings opportunities our way for a certain reason. And when you see an opportunity present itself, you need to embrace it and glean as much value that you can from that opportunity that's been presented to you, because there is always a reason for it.
Thank you so much, Amara. Thank you so much. She started already. Okay, just in case you don't know, so that you discern who we have on this call, I will give her the opportunity. She's been very humble about it. So I'll give her the opportunity again to reintroduce herself to you. Please, you want to come on this call very present, very powerful, and very purposeful. And what that means is that I want you to be attentive. I want you to take out a journal and write out things, the things you're going to hear on this call and the things you're going to act on that you hear on this call will be a determining factor of who you are, the difference between who you are today and who you can be tomorrow. Like she likely said, most times we miss opportunities simply because we don't discern what that opportunity, God has placed that opportunity in our path as it affects our future. So, I think yesterday night we had a prayer meeting, and one of the things we shared and the scriptures we leaned into was, when Moses had the burning bush experience, the bush was burning, and that was an opportunity for Moses. But Moses wouldn't have taken advantage of that opportunity if he did not turn aside, to focus on the opportunity that was being given to him, which was exemplified by the burning bush. So I'm saying to you this morning, please turn aside fully and give attention to the opportunity that is before you. Amara, quickly, can you just tell us? I know that you lecture. I know that you're also a relationship coach. I also know that of course, if you're a relationship coach, you have a lot to do with mindset and re-engineering. I know a lot about you, but I just want you in a nutshell. I mean, if I start reading her bio, we'll use 1 hour. So please, in a nutshell, just tell us about you, and then we'll dive deep into the questions. And please let me say, if you have questions on what it means to live fulfilled, or challenges you faced in your life on your purposeful journey, or your fulfillment journey, or your self actualization journey, as it were, kindly put them down and start putting them in the chat. As you put them in the chat, we'll take them down and attend to those questions one by one, because we have agreed that this particular meeting is going to be as practical as possible, as very practical as possible. So please, Amara, over to you. Just tell us a bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into the
Okay,
question.
so my name is Amarachi Amalgo, and I'm a daughter to someone, amazing daughter I am. I'm also
Yes.
a wife to an amazing husband. I always say that because for me, after God, is my family, and I've got an amazing son. I'm a lecturer, so I so much believe, I'm so passionate about education, and I am currently in the United Kingdom. I lecture in one of the UK universities here. And like you said, I am a relationship coach. So myself and my amazing husband, we are both co-stewarding on Relationship Builders Forum, and we believe that relationship is beautiful. We believe that marriage is beautiful. We believe that people can actually thrive in their relationship. And we are very intentional about building healthy relationship and spreading the word about healthy relationship in a world where people don't see that as such. So that's something that I do amongst many others. And I have a non-governmental organization where God has used us to empower young entrepreneurs, especially startups. And we run a very popular event, which we do yearly, an annual event called the I Thrive Project. And this is for young ladies. So that's just me in a nutshell. I hope I was able to do justice to that. I get uncomfortable when people ask me to introduce myself, but that's me
I
in a nutshell.
know. I know. I know. Thank you so much. You didn't do justice to it, but thank you.
Hello, host. I can't hear you anymore. Okay, you're there. Okay.
opportunity to glean from your knowledge. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you
You're
still hear
welcome. Yes, we can hear you. You were
whatever?
breaking off a bit, but I think you're back now. Okay, I'm not sure if it's just me, but I'm not able to pick up any sound from you. Dr. Izina, are you still there? Um, People who are here, please, could you let us know if you can still hear us? Just checking because I'm not able to pick up any audio from you. Just checking if we're still here. Okay, okay. So you can hear me, but you can't hear her. Okay, okay, that's fine. But are you all able to hear me? Are you all able to hear me, please? Just let me know if you can hear me. Because in a virtual space, I think this happens. I just want to be sure that I'm not speaking to myself and that I can be heard by everyone. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. So I think we were at the phase where she was making the introduction around today's event and the importance of living a fulfilled life. And there was something she reiterated on saying that we have to engage in this. We have to be able to talk about it. And if you've got any questions, we should feel free to put in that question on the chat. I hope she is
Sorry.
back. She is back. Yes. We
Sorry.
lost you for a bit. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Sorry. I think I had an issue with my network provider. So I got the
Okay.
question I asked before I lost you. Let me just put out that question again. So I said that the word fulfillment, is a word that has been thrown around a lot, especially around the purposeful space, thought leadership, and a lot of people just keep saying, I'm fulfilled, I'm unfulfilled, I'm this, I'm that. So I want to ask you this morning, what really does it mean to be fulfilled? And what are the pointers to a life that is living fulfilled? How do I know that I'm fulfilled? Or I'm living fulfilled, or I'm a journey to fulfillment. What is fulfillment, first of all?
Okay, I would just try to simplify this because sometimes we use these words and we talk about these things and it's becoming like a cliche in some quarters where people
Exactly.
just, talk about it. I think just to simplify it for our listeners and people who are here is what is your why? What is your why in life? Why are you here? What is your purpose? What have you been designed for? And I say this, and I would try to be as simple as I would be very, very practical. Everything that is being made, both living and non-living, has a purpose. I mean, you can't have anything that is non-living that is without a purpose. I'm sitting on a chair. There is a purpose for this chair, and that's why I'm sitting in it. There is a purpose for a cup. There is a purpose for a spoon. The main
Yeah.
reason is what is your core? What is your why? And a lot of times people misunderstand the why to be their jobs. It's okay to have a job, but is that your why? It could be a means to helping your why, but not necessarily your why, right? And some people have been able to merge their jobs with their why and they're living it. So say for example, you could ask somebody who is a medical doctor, for example, and they're able to tell you that my drive is to bring healing to humanity, and I'm doing it on my job. It could be mental healing, it could be physical healing. It is all about your why. Why has God created you? So many people are living life without a purpose. So many people don't even know why they were born. And that is why people would always have this sense of not being fulfilled. I am not fulfilled. I don't feel I'm fulfilled because you don't see what your why is. You're not busy with your why. And it's all about identifying what is your why in life. This is fundamental to who we are as human beings. This is fundamental to our relationships with God. This is fundamental to the value that we bring to the people around us. It is fundamental. Or else, a lot of people, I mean, I don't know if some of you have heard about this quote around if you want to see the richest place in the world, go to the grave, because a lot of people have gone to the grave without living out their why, without
Yeah.
showcasing the beauty that God has put in them in this world to their world. And they have just decided to go to the grave with all the potentials inside of them without allowing the world to see that wonder, that beauty, that value that God has put in them. So sometimes you find people burying themselves in their job. You find people burying themselves in their family. I'm not saying it's bad, it's good, but they still come back with that sense of, I am not fulfilled. The reason is because they have not quite identified that core, that why. And we cannot afford to live life by chance. It is, I don't know what word to use, but how it is so unfair for you to live life by default. It is so unfair to yourself. It is so unfair to your generation to just go through life without having made an impact in the footprints of times. So I would say fulfillment is you identifying your why and living it to the full.
Oh, thank you so much. You just put it so succinctly and so simply. You said fulfillment comes from a place of knowing your why and then doing your why. And I think that that second part, so we have two kinds of people who live unfulfilled lives from what I've seen. People who don't even know what their why is, so they have not gotten on that journey. And people who know their why but have not attached the twin sibling to the why, which is the doing. Because if you know your why and don't do your why, then fulfillment will still evade you. I even think it's worse to know your why and not do your why, because it's staring at you every day, and it just points to the and that leads me to my next question, right? So for people saying, I know my why, but why am I not still fulfilled? What is the gap between the why and the doing? Why is it that a lot of people know a lot, but they do not tend to do as much as they know? So we now have what we call, what I choose to call, they are basically constipated by knowledge. They are constipated by what they know. They are constipated by their why. And then they have not translated this why, to tangible results in their lives, in their personal lives, in their families, in the society, and in the world at large. And that is why they still remain unfulfilled. So, what is the bridge between the why and the doing?
I would say there are a lot of factors, and I would try to identify a couple of them. First of all, I would ask this individual, where are you? What network of people are you surrounded with? It's really important because if you know your why, I believe that the people around you should know what your why is. And for you to flourish and begin to execute your why, you need to be embedded in a network of like minded people, people who would literally, if you feel like, oh goodness, I don't even want to execute this, they are like constantly on your case, asking you, why are you sitting on your oars? Why are you not executing this? So some people are not quite surrounded with people who applaud their why, people who are driving them towards achieving their why. And I'd say the things that would change people are, number one, the people you meet and the books that you read. So you have nailed the first one, you have the knowledge, but now what about the people around you? You cannot flourish beyond the network of people you surround yourself with, right? And the network of people, this is where you refine your why. Because sometimes, first week, you are scared. If you know what your why is, you are scared. If you know what your why is and you're confident you're able to achieve it, it's not yet a why.
Yeah.
Because I talk to people and I say to them that if it's something I can do confidently and I just say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to do it, then it's okay. If your vision doesn't scare you, then it's not yet that you've not yet identified it. So the first thing you might encounter, if you know your why, in spite of the fact that you have a lot of knowledge, is, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? And the first thing you're faced with is your limitation. You begin to look at yourself, oh, I am not able to do this, I'm not capable to speak, I'm not a public speaker, if that is what your why would allow you to do. I am not somebody who is a people person. I don't have a refined etiquette. You begin to look at, oh, my background doesn't seem nice. I am not in a location that is acceptable. I am not on a job that I would, whatever it is, you begin to put those limitations on yourself. So the first thing is that you need to, first of all, identify what are my limitations and begin to unpack them. You need to confront your limitations. And that is how we win. That is how we navigate in life. So, first of all, what am I scared? Why is it that I don't want to do? What are the limitations that I have placed on myself? Right. And being in the whole women network, we have addressed this in terms of limitations and how to navigate limitations. And it all begins with your mind. You need to have a mind shift. There was a series that you talked about mind shifts. So you need to have a mind shift. First of all, look, I have to do this. You have to look at it in the eye and say, look, this is my limitation, but yes, I'm not going to stay down. I'm not going to back down. There are ways to navigate this. Secondly, seek out the network, and that's the network I was talking about. Surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, right? And the third thing is, peradventure you have knowledge, right? But I would always say that knowledge needs refining. Needs refining, because a lot of times when people say I'm not confident, that means you are not knowledgeable enough to stand and talk about it. So there is something that knowledge does. Knowledge gives you a bit of confidence, right? Because you're put in front of people and then you're able to express yourself, you're able to speak about it. That is another thing. So put yourself in a point where you test the knowledge that you have and you refine that knowledge. But you have to do it in a space where you can be vulnerable to a group of people. You don't want to get out there and only to realize that, oh my God, I have made myself I put myself on
Spectacle.
public, exactly,
Spectacle.
embarrassment. So you want to put yourself, and we have another group of people who are constantly using their spectacle and the microscope to continue poking, holes in their whys. And, oh, I think I have to be in a certain space in my life before I begin to execute. I think this has to be perfect before I execute. I think
Yeah.
I need to make XYZ amount of money before I
Yeah.
execute. And these
Yeah.
are the perfectionists, right? People that feel that, oh, it's not yet right, the environment is not yet right, the finance is not yet right, my personality is not yet right. So and you begin to do this in such a way that it begins to harm you, because the more you begin to focus on the things that are not, I would say, at a little thing, because look, we grow, right? So you have to be vulnerable to growing. You have to be vulnerable to making mistakes. It's all a part of the journey. Don't forget that it is not a one-off event. Your why is not a one-off event. It's a process. And you have to be comfortable with going through that process in an area, in a space where you are comfortable making that. And I say to people that, look, it is better that you begin to test your why. I mean, people in business will know better. When you talk about your MVP, right?
Yeah.
You need to first of all know, have I tested this? What are they saying? What the people that I have used my product or my services, do they have a testament to, yes, this is good? Do I have testimonials to this is good? Before then you begin to get to that point. But if you don't embrace the journey, it is not a destination, it is not a one-off event,
Wow.
it
Wow.
is a journey. And
Wow.
I think that we are in a generation where people do not like the process. You're feeling bad that you're not fulfilled, don't get overwhelmed. It is a journey, it is a marathon, it is not a sprint. And I always say that sometimes you get tired, sometimes you back down. That is why you need to put yourself around people who would support you. So the moments when you feel down, think about Aaron and Hor that held out the hand of Moses when he was tired. You need the Aarons in your life. You need the Hors in your life because look, if it's a marathon, you will get tired. You will be fatigued at some point. You would not even be driven. You wake up and
Yeah.
say, what have I gotten myself into? What is the point of doing this? you know I don't know if I answered the question, but I mean, it's a conversation, and please feel free to ask.
You've done like you've answered some questions that I still have coming, but I know that you will still lean into them. And I hear you so clearly. You talked about if your vision or your why doesn't scare you. In fact, I would like to put it this way, that if your vision or your why doesn't scare you, then it's not a vision, it's an ambition. It's something that you can achieve
Hmm,
on your own. It is a vision when you look at yourself and you're like, it can't be me, it can't be me, just like Moses, being a deliverer for the children of Israel. That was a vision. That was not ambition, right? And what was ambition was him waking up and killing the Israelites. That he could do on his own. But delivering the children of Israel was something he could not do on his own. And that spoke to the place of vision. And then you also talked about the process. Your why is not a destination. And I discovered that the generation that we live in, we want things. I don't know, a lot of people want things fast, 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 fast now.
hmm,
And it doesn't just work that way. Some time ago, we were discussing about the place of process. You can't escape it. I even think that if anybody who rises to the top without the incubation and could not go
hmm,
through the crucible of process will fall back faster than he went up, right? Because the part of process is what refines you as a visionary. The part of process is what instills values like
yeah.
resilience, discipline, loyalty, integrity, staying power, on your way to the top. If you don't go through the process, then you cannot appreciate the product, as it were. So the place of process cannot be overemphasized. And Amara, I would just like to you to speak more on that process. I'm going to go back, for people who don't even know their why. Where did they
Mhm.
even start from? Right now, we're talking about those that know but don't have that tangibility. And even, do you know that I just thought about it? Whether you know your why or you don't know, it still boils down to process. There is a process to knowing, and some people are not even
Hmm.
willing to give into that process to knowing. And after you give into the process to knowing, you have to go another process, another journey that helps you do. So I think we are in a highly mentally lazy generation, you know, a generation that just wants quick fixes. And I know I didn't know you too personally when you're in school, but I think I can appreciate your journey. Please, can you just, with as much personal experiences as you can allow, explain to us the place of process. I mean, did you just close your eyes and then one day you were a lecturer, or did you just close your eyes and one day you were married and then you opened your eyes the next day and and you were doing all these meaningful and wonderful things that you're doing, excelling in your different expressions. And we want to know, was it a process or was this something that was handed to you, or was it something that you had to grow into?
Wow. Where do I start from? It's been a journey. It's been a journey. And there's something you said that is so profound. Right now, a lot of people are, it's concerning for me, very concerning, especially being in education and seeing the power of having that knowledge and growing and just embracing that journey and embracing your failures as well, because it's all part of the growth process. But a lot of people do not want to submit to the growth process. A lot of people find it uncomfortable. And there is always an analogy that I use. I use the seed analogy, and I use the pregnant woman analogy. And it is so phenomenal that whether you're talking about vegetables or you're talking about a fruit, for example, there is always a seed. And then when you talk about people, human beings, it also begins with a seed, right? And the seed is being planted. And if you take the analogy, I mean, I wish I had that diagram of having a seed and putting it. First of all, you have to put the seed in the ground. You have to bury that seed, right? So when the seed is being put into the ground, it feels like, oh, this is so bad. Why do I have to be put into dirt? And then
Yeah.
you're covered. And then that seed would need to die first, right? Then that seed dies and then it begins to sprout. And after people have walked away and forgotten about that seed, it begins to bud and then it begins to grow up and it becomes a tree. And when God likens in the Bible likens a faith to a mustard seed, it is so phenomenal. And I say to people, look, if the vegetables and the fruits that we eat on a daily basis, they also have to submit themselves to a process, how much more? How much more people who carry destiny, people who have a potential to bring value and help and open the eyes of the people in their generation, how much more? I was in a season where I had to wait for my wonderful son for a very long time, for many years. And imagine that in that season, I was praying and believing God and saying, God, I need a son, I need a child, I need a child. And I just finished that prayer and I opened my eyes, and beside me was a child. How would I feel? Would I be that excited to say, yes, God has indeed answered my prayer? And right by my bedside, just after I have finished the prayer, is a child, a boy, just produced from wherever, and he's just dropped on my bed, and I will just hear a voice to say to me, Amara, here is that child you have just prayed about. I will not accept. I will be so scared, right? So I prayed for a child. I got to the point where, yes, I conceived. I carried that child in my womb for 9 months. It was uncomfortable. I went through the process. I went through hormonal changes. My body had to change so many times, but it was very uncomfortable. I had to tell myself, look, I'm pregnant, right? Nothing else matters. My body doesn't matter. My pigmentation, whatever it is, doesn't matter, right? It is all about this value of what I am carrying, right? And I have to make sure that I protect it and I see it through to the end. So, in spite of what I was going through that process, and then I came out at the end with a child. Guess what? I forgot all the discomfort of the process that I had been through because the result was so phenomenal that, oh my goodness, what was that? Was that labor pain? Was that the whole not eating, loss of appetite, whatever? I didn't remember all of that because just looking at how amazing this gift is made me forget all of that. There's something you said. I didn't start like this. And maybe just to give a bit of context to some people, I've just shared an aspect of my journey in terms of the process that I went through. But I finished from Abia State University in Nigeria, and I would share as much as I can, given the time. And I can still remember, this is something that I haven't quite shared, publicly with people. I only shared it with people really close to me, but maybe this might be some sort of liberation to somebody just listening to me now saying, oh, I've got this certificate and I've got that certificate, and I don't think I'm living fulfilled. And you know what? I spent nearly 7 years in Abia State University for a 4-year course. A lot of people don't know this, right? And I had and I look at you now, you're very surprised. And then I was like, I got to a point at where I had to consider, do I have to do jump again? Because the people that I started with have left. And now here I am trying to go through the same process. And guess what? It was just a matter of, me being stuck with a GST for 3 extra years. Can you imagine that? And I still finished that. I mean, I know this is publicly aired, but when we have some sessions where we can do a bit of a private, talk, I can share a bit more in terms of what I experienced on that journey and why I
Yeah.
had to go through that process. Now, it wasn't anything that had to do with me. It wasn't my fault. It's just that a request was made that I couldn't fulfill. It was just against my values. I couldn't just get myself to submit to it. And some people ask me, but why? Just do it. I had people who had to do it and they didn't bother. But I told myself, no, what I am called for and who I am is far valuable than whatever certificate I'm going to get, right? So I had
Yes.
to go through
Yes.
that. Imagine me go through that, right? I've got siblings and I didn't bother. They came through the university, they finished before me, they went serve before me, but I wasn't perturbed by that process. And I finished with it. Okay, got a result. And then it's like, oh, life, how are you going to use this to get a job, right? What are you going to do? And I say to people that my journey is a journey of grace, is a journey of patience, is a journey of just embracing the journey and going through that process, just
Mm.
having your eyes on the
Mm.
prize regardless
Yeah.
of everything around you. You cannot allow the storms that you go through to pull you down from the vision that God has given to you. And that is what kept me going, because I told myself, my vision is bigger than me. My
Mm.
purpose is bigger than me. I am
Mm.
created for more. I am made for more. I cannot allow myself to be driven by the things that I go through. All of these things are noise. They're just noise. They're trying to distract me. I cannot be distracted by this, right? And trust me, it's not easy. It's not easy to ignore noise, because sometimes the noise is louder. It's
Yeah.
louder. Sometimes the noise
Yeah.
is uncomfortable. It gets to you and you begin to focus too much on it, right? But I had to go through that. And I can remember the time that I went to do my MBA, and that was the first degree. When I left Nigeria, I went to do my second degree. I went to do an MBA. I finished that, and my lecturers at the time started asking me, how come you have finished with this, and yet it doesn't show? I mean, there was a huge gap with what I came in with and what I've
Yeah.
got, right?
Yeah.
And I always say to people, like, don't allow yourself to look like the situation that you've been through. Don't allow
Yes.
yourself to
Yes.
look like the certificates that you have. Don't allow yourself to look like the circumstance that you are currently faced with. Because look, there is something about life. You're made for more. And it's all about you constantly having your gaze on Jesus, your gaze on the prize,
Yes.
having your face constantly on the word that illuminates you. And sometimes
Mm.
people ask, you don't look like it. You're always smiling. You don't feel like it doesn't look like there is a problem, that it doesn't look like there is a situation. And I say to them, look, because I am not moved by what I am going through, that doesn't determine my disposition. I cannot
Yeah.
allow my circumstance to determine my disposition. In fact, I had a number of strap line at the time. A smile is my style was one of my strap line. I choose to live fulfilled and gloriously radiate to my world who I am. That was one of my strap line. Another of my strap line I had at the time is, I must leave people better than they met me. I cannot guarantee what you are going to leave with me, whether you leave me joy or you leave me sadness. But look, you cannot
Wow.
meet with me and leave the same. And
Wow.
remember, I focus so much on that my problems or the situations are so diminished. Because imagine that you're focused on bringing joy to someone. Can someone who is sad bring joy? No, I cannot bring joy if I'm in a place of sadness. You cannot exude joy. Remember what the Bible says, that out of the wells you are drawing, out of the wells you can only give what you've got, right? So you're giving out of the abundance of what you've got. And guess what? I finished with that, and I went on. I don't know if I'm in answering the question, but I just feel led to share this, but I don't know if that is in line with what you want for this
Wow.
event. Just let me know. If it's not, then I can round up. But I just feel that maybe somebody out there really needs to
Wow.
hear this.
My goodness.
And one of the things that happened to me was, I can still remember myself coming to the UK after my first degree, and I really got a second degree rather. I got so interested in an aspect of HR. I embedded myself into it, and I was doing my master's at the time. And just imagine that I had built so much of a healthy self-esteem. Don't forget that the journey that I have been through, and I said to you that there were a lot about
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
university days that I might not be able to share, openly here, but I
Yeah.
hope there will be
Yeah.
another opportunity for me to share that. But I have
Yeah.
been battered so much by that process. I mean, the academic
Mm.
side was only one part of it, but there are other things
Mm.
that have been so
Mm.
battered. I was like a reed that could not snap, I was bent, but I could not break. And maybe just God
Mm.
just allowing me go through that process of being bent so that I can show people what it feels like, what it means for people to go through
Mm.
that process of being uncomfortable, of being bent by situations, bent by life, but you stay steady, right? You say, yes, this is gonna bend me, but it's not gonna break me, right? So I went through all of that, and coming into the UK, I decided, look, I have to build my self-esteem. I have to build my self-image. You know, you
Yeah.
cannot go about being grumpy. You people would not be attracted to you if you keep doing this. And I spent so
Wow.
much time on just having that healthy mindset, and I was reading so much and trying to develop myself so much that I caught the attention of a few lecturers in my university, and they were like, oh, you're so good, you are good at explaining things, you're good at talking to people, you have got a good people skill, PR skill, would you mind doing the seminars, would you mind doing the tutorials? And that was how I started. And I was a student with my colleagues, and I was teaching my colleagues after the studies
Wow.
were done by the other professors,
Wow.
because they couldn't quite understand what the professors were saying. So I had what I called my tutorial sessions, and they would come to me. And then later on in the university, they heard about it. Oh, are you teaching? Why? Oh, wow, you could do more for us. You could come and do this, and oh, you could stand in for my class when I'm late. And that was how I started, right? I started
Wow.
doing this, and I was doing it. It was so painful at the time, because I remember that some nights I would have to read in areas that had no clue about, because I was still a student, I was still studying. And I would
Wow.
come into the class and people were like, wow, you explain it even better than the lecturers. And I did this for 2 years, and I was not paid. 2 whole years, and I wasn't paid.
Wow.
I
Wow.
did this. I was consistent. I would show
Wow.
up every day. I mean, I said I would share some other things about this journey, because there is the backstory that some people don't know, and I will share that on a later date. And I
Wow.
showed up every single time, and I got so much recommendations. I cannot tell you how many from my students. And it was
Wow.
so amazing that even before I submitted my thesis, I got a PhD offer given to me,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Because they felt, you are so phenomenal, you have to do this. But it wasn't easy, because I spent countless sleepless nights developing myself, reading, seeking out these opportunities and putting myself there. Even though sometimes, being a woman, being black, not be in the academic space, you don't fit the persona, right? You don't fit that
Yeah.
persona of a
Yeah.
professor.
Yeah.
But I would just show up. I would not even notice. I would not even notice
Come
that,
on now.
right? Because I
Yeah.
already know, like, look, life is not fair. Like, lady, like, deal with it. Not everyone would
Wow.
embrace you. Not everyone would always
Thank
say, yeah,
you.
she's doing it right, right?
Wow.
Ignore all of that,
Wow.
because they are all noise. I call them
Wow.
noise. They are noise. And I cannot allow myself to be sucked into that noise,
Wow.
because I've got my eyes on the prize. And you know what? I in fact saw that platform as an opportunity. I'm meeting with people every day. I'm meeting with students. And you know what? I had this, they called it, anyways, they branded it, the motivational talk with Amara. And it was always like a session after my session. At this time, I just talking to them about life and how to live life to the full. And just imagine me, because I had a purpose, and my purpose is to give, to pour into people. And my job gave me that platform to do that, regardless. So I'm not a woman who, I would say, have been self-made. And I can tell you, look, I've been surrounded by an amazing, amazing people. I would start with the person who is so close to me, my husband. He was someone, when I was dating him way back, he would say to me, what is your 5-year vision? Write it down. I still have that
Wow.
notebook. And there were certain
Wow.
things I wrote that after I
Wow.
got married to him, he kept me accountable. Look, you've ticked this box, you've ticked
Wow.
that box, these ones are
Wow.
left. You haven't
Wow.
started working on this. What is happening? And I was like, man, you're stressing me. You're stressing. Why are you stressing me? Right? I don't even know why I told you all of this. I don't even know why I had to say. And he
Don't be
was
the thorn in my
pushing.
flesh.
He kept pushing. No, you have to do it. There is more. You can give more. And I was like, I'm tired. I'm stressed. Let me just rest. No, you can't rest. There's no time. And I kept doing. I kept doing. And sometimes, even when I do it and I'm nearly at the breaking point, remember, I can only bend, but I cannot break. right? I'm nearly at that breaking point, and I'll just be surrounded. I had my sisters, I had my phenomenal, I call him my brother in love. He is amazing, and I had all of this network of people. I had people who were, they just believed in me, right? They just believed in me. And just imagine that I'm right now on my job being a senior lecturer in the university. And every time I go there, I'm just saying this to you, Dr. Izini, and the people that are listening to me right now. I am going there and constantly I'm looking for opportunity. Do you know how many times we wake up every day, dress up, and we are constantly walking past opportunities? Do you know how
Yes.
many times,
Yes.
you know, God is trying to catch our attention to something, and we are constantly not, we are oblivious of what is even happening because we are
We are
not
too
even
busy.
sensitive. We're
Too
not in a
busy.
place where we are picking that signal that, look, this is an opportunity. I mean, to be honest with you, I am just saying this, like, every time I go out, I'm seeking an opportunity to make somebody leave me better than they met me. And you
Wow.
cannot even imagine how much fulfillment, not even the job, just the fact that one person says, oh, meeting you today, I feel like a burden has been
And
lifted me.
better.
It's, for me, that
Awesome.
is it. I've gone to bed and I'm job done, right? And some people might say, because you might be in a country like Nigeria where it's easy to put God in front of people. I'm in an environment where it is difficult to put God in front of people, talk about your faith like openly. And what I've decided to do is I live my faith. So much people
Yeah.
ask me, what is it
Yeah.
about you? So I'm not the one starting the conversation, right? You are starting
Yeah.
the conversation. You're
Yeah.
asking me, what is it about you? I said, do you really want to know what is it about me?
My
And that is where the
goodness. My
conversation
goodness.
starts, right?
My
And
goodness.
it's about you not just saying, not just knowing, but demonstrating it in a place where the fragrance of the value that God has deposited inside of you is exuded to the world, is spread out to people. People cannot be around you and get a stench. They are around you and there's a fragrance of whatever it is that God has placed inside of you. You are just exuding it effortlessly. That is where I am right now. And that is what brings me so much joy. That is what brings me so much values. I will stop at this point and get some reactions.
Oh my goodness. Hey, gosh. My God. My God. Dr. Mara, as in, like, it's really hot where I am right now. My goodness. Like, as in, I've been asking myself, why am I the one on this call? How wish I was not the one interviewing you, so that I would just be behind, and taking a lot of wisdom. I mean, you have said a lot. Like, I hope if you're on this call on our YouTube, on the Facebook, please put in the comment sections. We want to know your reactions. What stood out for you? What are the things that resonated with you? I know that she has said a lot of things, and as she's speaking, there are things that will come directly at you. Those things that came directly at you, I want you to put them down. Don't just be a quiet observer. No, engage in the comment section. Let us know what you're getting. Let us know what you're learning. Oh my goodness. I mean, you have spoken to. Let me just highlight. I was actually writing down, taking down some things you were saying. And, I wrote down here, I said that vision gives you staying power. Vision hands you staying power, because what you have seen, you cannot unsee. And that is why it's so important, after you have seen, to engage in the processes that aligns your mind, shifts your mind to, mirror or be cloned by the vision that you have previously seen. Because once your mind has been shifted to accommodate your vision, once the mind expands to accept and accommodate your vision, the mind cannot return back to its original state, because the mind is an elastic entity. Once it expands, it has expanded, and what you see, you cannot unsee. And once it has expanded, it gives you staying power, even when everything around you tells you to give up, because you have grown your mental capacity to match the enormity of the vision that has been shown you. You will find that even if sometimes you are overwhelmed, even if sometimes you are tired, you won't stay there for too long. You won't stay there. You will come back to the vision that was showed you. Another thing that you spoke to, is about, I call it living for the audience of one, right? You're living for the audience of one. And who is that audience? It's Jesus. A lot of us are too distracted by what would people say, what are people doing. We know
Mm.
everything about every other person except ourselves. Live for the audience of one. Live for the audience of one. Stay through to the audience of one. Stop looking at what is happening the other side so that you can focus on what is on your own side. And just this morning, I put out a post and I was like, what I said on that post was that what validates your assignment is not by the number of people in the gallery, but by who sent you on that assignment. So let us live for the audience of one. Enough with this comparison, especially that has to do with women. And I discovered that it affects our gender more than the other gender. If you see a man pursuing something, he doesn't have time to be looking at the left or right. They just keep moving. They just keep moving. They just keep moving, right? But for we women, we just have a way, and that was why it's the same thing that happened to what's her name, the lady that turned back and turned to the pillar of salt. You weren't focusing on your
Upright.
journey. You were not focusing on your journey. And I discovered, the way she turned back, she became static, became a pillar of salt. And every time you find yourself in a state where you are unable to move, where you are stuck, look around you, you will discover that you have been focusing on a lot of things that is not your vision. You have been focusing on other people's vision instead of you. And that's why you are stuck. So please, from today, let us learn, to live for the audience of one. And then one of the things that I got, like, this is so powerful. If you're in this call, I really want you to go back and play between 40 minutes to, I think that was 35 minutes to 50 minutes on this call, where you spoke to service. I can sit on that thing you said for 1 hour. I can literally sit and teach on it for 1 hour. You see, the service was not handed to you. You orchestrated and you found out service for yourself. You found out what was lacking and you filled that space. And in this generation, people are even finding and telling you this is a space that you need to fill. But we are too high up there to say, I want to serve. And it was in your place of service that you discovered purpose. It was also in your place of service that you discovered promotion. It was also in your place of service that you discovered fulfillment. So I want to speak to somebody on this call. If you're confused as to what your calling is, what your fulfilling is, you can take this advice for free. Look for somebody, look for a vision, look for a place, and put everything inside of you to service. Right where you are serving, God will find you. And I don't know why throughout this weekend, God has just been taking us back to Moses. I mean, Moses was a big boy where he was coming from. For
Mm.
God's sake, he was sitting in Pharaoh's house. He was the child of Pharaoh, as it were. But the Bible says that he left where he was. And then he went to, where did he go? To Laban's house. Who is Laban? Like, who are you? Who is Laban? And the Bible says he found a way to serve Laban, his father-in-law, by taking his shepherds, and feeding them in the forest. It was in service that he encountered his purpose. It was in service that if he was not feeding Jethro's flock, he would not be able to deliver the children of Israel. So don't look down on where you are right now, right? Because you are serving. That is the route. The fastest way to the throne is service. The fastest way to significance is service. And what God means that you went and you were teaching and you were not paid. For 2 years, you were not paid. Why? Because you saw service as an opportunity to grow. They thought you were doing them a favor, but in reality, you were doing yourself a favor. You were honing skills that you never thought existed, and you put in the work. You gave in your best, even though you were not being paid for. Oh, oh my God, Amara, like, oh my goodness, that was so phenomenal.
I just have another
You want
comment
to
to
say
add.
something?
Yes, I have something to say because we're in a generation that people are looking for something that is obvious, the already made, right? So people want to go for the popular, who are the celebrities, and you forget a lot of times value is put before people, and they are not receiving it because it's not from the spectacular, it's not from the obvious,
Yeah,
and this value is dished out to you, amazing value, but people don't take that on. They don't, because they're constantly looking elsewhere. They're distracted by where they want to, they're picking and choosing where they want to glean value from. And this is a fundamental problem that I see these days. A lot of people will only associate with something or a vision if it is popular. Some people will only associate with a vision or something if it is visible, right? But it is okay, it is okay
Yeah.
for you to
Yes.
get into the circle where you embrace value from the unfamiliar, from maybe the unpopular.
Yes.
And just, and
Yes.
it also speaks to process, because people not understanding the process would say, oh, I want to go for that, but maybe that person is
Yeah.
in a season of their life, and you're literally presented an opportunity now for you to learn,
Yes.
and you disregard it. You
My
disregard that
God.
opportunity,
My
you
God.
know, and
And that
then you
is why,
complain.
yes, and that is why we are, one of the prayers I like to pray for myself is that God grant me the spirit of perception, right? Because a lot of us don't perceive, rightly. We perceive wrongly. Some of the people that we should have been following, some of the people that we should be mentored by, have just 100 followers on social media. They just have 100 on social media.
Yes.
Followers.
Yes.
You are not.
Oh dear. I don't know if it's my side. Are we still here? I think
To you, and who that
okay. Are we still there? I'm not sure if
I don't
we
know if
all
you
can
can
hear.
hear me.
Yes, we can now. You're frozen. We couldn't hear you a while ago. You were breaking. We can't hear
Dr.
you at all now.
Mark, hear me on this call.
We can hear her, but I think she was trying to react to what I said earlier, with respect to perceiving opportunities and embracing those opportunities that are presented to us. So, people who are watching now, I would want to ask: if you have any questions, if you have any reactions to what's been said so far, if you can please put it on the chat, and we can pick that up. Yes.
Can you hear me
Yeah.
now? Oh my
Yes, yes.
goodness.
You were reacting to what was said. You were talking about followers, and
Yes.
then we lost you.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I was saying that, a lot of us have a warped discernment, right? We don't have the right discernment. We are not discerning. And some of the people that are significant in our journey in this time and in this season, some of them may just have 100 followers on social media. Some of them may not have all the glam, right? But if you have seeing eyes, if you have a perceptive heart, you will know who was sent to you by per season and align yourself with that person. And align yourself. I mean, Naomi, Ruth had no business with Naomi, right?
True.
I mean, there was nothing about Naomi that Ruth should stick to, but she was discerning. She knew that in this season of her life, she needed a Naomi to be able
Mm,
to meet her Boaz, to be able to do her purpose. And she stuck with Naomi and she said, your people will be my people. Whether you have 50 followers, one follower, whatever your vision is, I will support it. I will stay with you. I will learn. It's all in the place of service. Look through the entire scripture. You
mm,
cannot separate service from relevance. If you don't serve, you have no business being significant. It's all in service. And I'm just so proud of you, Amara, at your journey, at the values that you have displayed through your journey, the values of resilience, of discipline, of not taking yourself higher than you ought to, and also rising above the social construct, the color of your skin, the mindset that you have taken from the country where you're coming in and say, in this land, I will break even. In this land, I
mm,
will make a mark. I will be different, right? You can ignore me, but you cannot ignore my work. And that's exactly what happened. And usually when they don't ignore your work, at some point you begin to, be significant in the rooms that matter. And this
Yeah.
speaks to service. Oh my
I,
goodness.
I
This
just
speaks
want to
to
add
service.
one
I don't
more.
know how much we can overemphasize this, but
Yeah.
please look
Service.
for a place and serve. Look for your a place.
Are you there?
And Amara, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Are you still there?
Okay, before you react to that, I just want you to react to that and something else. One of the reasons also a lot of people don't, put themselves through the process of service is this thing called entitlement.
Mhm.
This demonic, in fact, I choose to call it demonic thing called entitlement, where you feel like everybody owes you something, right? That she's supposed to, they are supposed to, this one is supposed to. Please, I want you to speak to service, as it relates to entitlement. I know you wanted to react to something I was saying, but if you can just merge these two together, I'll be grateful, and then we can move on to the next question.
Yeah. Am I still audible? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So service cannot be overemphasized. I mean there is power in service, and one of the things I would want to highlight for the service side before I go to the entitlement is around the fact that you also need to be humble to learn from people, because sometimes I use myself as an example. I have had to learn from people that may not be on the same level as I am, in quotes, and I say that in quotes. But being humble to take on feedback, receive it, and implement it. I mean, so many people get to the point where they feel, I'm here, right? End of. I've gotten to a point where I can teach others. And as something I always say to my students, I can learn from you as well as you learning from me, right?
Yeah.
And having that humility to accept lessons from people you think you know more than, or you are at a level that you're higher than them. For me, this is something that I would say that nobody is above learning. For every stage in your life, there's something new to learn. And you have to be open to learn, and maybe even something new for you to unlearn, because there might be things that you don't understand has been inherent in you, and it only takes you being in a particular season of your life for such tendencies to begin to come to the surface, right? And now you didn't know it was in there until you were put in an environment where that sort of came up. So you need to be humble enough to say, this is not healthy. I have to deal with it. I have to let this go. Okay. So I just thought to mention that it is also important for you to serve. But when you serve and you grow and you keep growing on that journey, just also be open to receive, even when you are at the top, seemingly, and there are people below you that you would need to learn from, or people in a different grade that you might need to learn from. Now, let's talk a little bit about entitlement. This conversation, in fact, I had this conversation yesterday. I had this
Oh wow.
conversation
Oh
yesterday.
wow.
I
Wow.
actually had it in class. Like I had it. I was in a session and I had it with a group of students, and they were asking me so many questions. With a time where a lot of people are coming over to the UK and a lot of them are coming and all of that. I don't know how we ended up there, but this is what I said to them. A lot of us feel so entitled. We feel when people do something for you, we are so entitled that even the way we say thank you, we say it with an entitled mindset. Like, this is something you should do. I don't know how to explain this. I don't know how to explain it. And I use this instance, right? Because these students they've come abroad, maybe sponsorship from parents or jobs, of course, maybe they sold land, whatever it is they did, right? And I gave them a case study, and these two groups of people were in my class, and I said to them, there is this group and people who come from where I come from, and you know where I come from, right? We have this mentality that this is what my parents are supposed to do for me. This is what my uncle is supposed to do for me. This is what my aunt is supposed to do for me. And even now that they have paid for your fees for you to be here, you even have that mentality that is something they are supposed to have done for me and they've just done it. So I am entitled to being
Yeah.
trained, right? I'm going somewhere with this. Now we have another group, right? And these are my Asian brothers. I love these people. I love them so much. You know, my Indian brothers, my Pakistani brothers, my Bangladeshi brothers. I just there's a lot of lessons I learned from these groups of people. Now, when they're coming here, their parents have also done the same for these groups of people, right? But check out the mindset. Their mindset is totally different. They come in here. I have to make it work.
Wow.
And you ask them, what is your motivation? These have been done for me. I have to pay back. I have to get
Wow.
somebody like me here. I have to pay back.
Wow.
I have to make sure my
Wow.
parents are comfortable. I mean, oh, they have done it's such a sacrifice. The way they talk about it, oh my goodness, it's such a sacrifice. They've done this for me. I have to pay back. They have a legacy mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They have a system mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
We we are aware we just want to swallow, swallow, swallow. We're not giving, right? We get to the point where we're so bloated, so constipated, and we don't even realize that we're constipated, right? And in spite of that, we feel so entitled. They were supposed to have done this. Even when you come here and the pocket monies are not coming. Oh, why are they not coming? You know how difficult these things are. You know how difficult it is to find a job. You know how difficult. And I cannot understand it. You know why I cannot understand it? Because I'm from also this part of the world. You know, there's something that was said to me yesterday. They said, oh, you don't understand the struggle of having to study in a different educational system. I said, tell me about it. Somebody who have
Yeah.
not studied in your environment, tell me,
Yeah.
speak
Yeah.
to me. What are the challenges? And I said,
Why
if
not?
it's down to your mind, there has to be
Yeah.
a mind shift.
Yeah.
If someone, even if it's your parents, even if it's your husband, even if it's your son, giving you some sort of service, financial service, you know, some sort of whatever it is they are giving to you, appreciate it. It is you don't feel entitled because I'm his wife, because I'm their daughter, because I'm his mom or her whatever it is, or her sister, and then she has to do this for me. No, think about the fact of what sacrifices are they making to make sure that I've got this. What sacrifices is my mentor making to put me in her network or in his network? It's a huge sacrifice to put you in a network of people to trust you with their network. It's a sacrifice. And then you take it for granted, and then you feel entitled, and then you don't submit to grow. I don't understand. I'm being honest with you. I cannot understand why people feel entitled. I struggle with it. Maybe
Yeah.
because I just don't understand the rationale. Why would you feel entitled when someone is giving you value? Whether it is money, because when you look at time is money. You always hear that analogy. Time is money. So this person giving you money, the person is giving you a fraction of their life. What could be more valuable?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when people say, "Oh, how much have they given me?" Is it not just 50,000? How much has she given me? Is it not just 100,000? That is a
Yeah.
fraction of that person's life, that
Exactly.
person's time. Whatever time
Exactly.
it took them to make that money, they have decided to say, you
Exactly.
know what? I relinquish this to you. I sacrifice this time to you because I want to be of value to you. And then you take it for granted. That for me, I can't understand. And I think that, more and more that people should come to a place of awareness, the place where they understand that, look, you only have to compete with your life. You only have to be your competitor and not anybody else.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
expect anybody to do things for you. If someone has done it, oh wow, this is amazing.
Fine. Good.
Embrace it, love it. Thank the person for doing it. And mean it. And every time you show up to people, show up with some value. Show up with something. It might not be money, but what can you do? You look at somebody, you're serving somebody, and you're always expecting the person to give, 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 give. You're not thinking, what can I do for this person?
To
How
help.
can I be of service to this person? I don't have the money, but what are the areas that this person possibly might be seeking some help? And maybe this is where you fit in so nicely and you do it. It's about the value that you bring, it's not what you take. It's what you bring. If we have
What
an
I'm bringing to the table.
investment mentality, not a spending mentality, even with our
Yeah,
relationship, not a
yeah,
spending mentality, an investment mentality, it will go a
yeah,
long way.
yeah.
And
Oh,
that is
thank
why
you
some
so
people are
much.
in, yeah, some people are in some circles and they feel devalued. Why do they feel devalued? Because people are taking so much without giving back, investing.
Yes, and it's
It's a
tiring. It's tiring. It's really tiring, really, really tiring. And I also discovered that a lot of people are repeating negative patterns in their life, such that, and then most people who say, "I don't have anybody," I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't have anybody to reach. I don't have any friend. If not everybody, but if you trace it down, you discover a series of repeated patterns of abusing access, access to superiors, access to people who are your mates, and even access to people who are under you, but most importantly to your superiors. If you're giving access, there's a stewarding of access. And I think in fact, that's a course on its own. That's a full class, how to steward access and how to make the person that granted you access not to regret that they gave you access. There's a stewarding of it. And if you don't know how to steward access, which comes also from the right perception and revelation of who God has sent to you per time, then you're going to abuse access. And when you abuse access, you can get nothing from that relationship. And once you cut off that connection, or you close that door, that was open before you, it is really difficult to get that door open again. And what I usually say, if you notice a series of repeated patterns in your life where you cannot sustain relationships, whether it has to do with your mates or mentorship relationships, or relations of people, superior to subordinate, as it were, and it's happening over and over again. A pattern is a series of repeated happenings with one common denominator. And that common denominator, it's you. It means that it is not the environment. It means that it is not the person. It means that it is not the friend. It means that it is not the mentor. It means that it is not the sister or the family member. It means that the problem is you. And the earlier you sit with yourself and tell yourself the hard truth and begin to work on yourself, as it were, the earlier you move forward in life. And I think we just have about 15 minutes before we go off on this call. If you have your questions, please, I beg you, put them down in the chat box. Please put in your questions and then we'll identify it. And one of the questions I want to ask you, Dr. Mara, this morning is, sometimes this purposeful journey really can be exasperating, can be lonely. Sometimes you're looking for somebody to say, go, wow, this vision is wonderful. And then you look left, you look right, you look front, you look back, and then you don't find those people. Or then again, even if you have those people, you still feel tired. And this is something that you were previously excited, about, So, and then you've lost that zeal. How does someone who was previously excited about a vision that was shown her, or about a purposeful work that she was working, and has now lost the zeal and the energy, how does such a person get ignited again to pursue her assignment?
Okay, let me start
And
by
also
saying,
speak sorry, let me say something. Also speak to the
okay,
fact that, do you, or how do I put this? Every time you were working your purposeful work, did you feel fire burning in you? Were you always ignited? That's another like, I know
it's
you,
fire.
but you understand what I'm saying, right?
I
Like,
know.
so there are two things now. How do I get ignited again? And then if I never get that ignition, does it mean I will never fulfill purpose? So I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from.
I do understand. And let me start with the last one around. Did I feel fire burning in me? You don't. There are days you wake up and you're like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? What did I get
Who sent
myself
me? Who
into?
sent
Like,
me?
Seriously, I have just been staying my lane. Now I've decided to add something. Why did I even think about this? But the thing is, and that's why I was saying, where we started from about what is your why? What is your why? It's still down to that. I know there are times when we're tired, and please, let me just say here that rest is important. Rest. You cannot see nobody. If you're tired, you cannot be innovative. You cannot be creative. If you're fatigued, you can't think outside of the box. So you need in fact, you might even be annoying to the people around you, without you knowing. Rest, prioritize your rest. If you feel physically, mentally tired, take time to rejuvenate. Take off. Don't feel obliged that you have to keep doing it. There are some times that, yes, you tell yourself, I'm going to be doing XYZ number of events or whatever it is you're doing. For example, for me, and I get to the point where I know I'm at a breaking point, right? Don't feel guilty about taking a break in spite of the schedule, right? It is somebody who is alive that would implement and seek out to-do lists.
I know.
And be honest here, like somebody who is, if you're dead, your vision will not fulfill itself. So you need to be okay to fulfill your vision. So I am a big fan of prioritizing your rest mentally too, because some people are resting in their physical state, lying on the bed, but their brains,
But their mind
it's
is
still
still
buzzing.
active.
Yes. Now, igniting the fire. I don't always feel like powerful and, you know, pumped up the
Excited.
way, yes,
Excited.
vibed up, excited about my journey or my purpose or my vision. I don't always feel like that. But there's something I said earlier around identifying people that you put around you. I have what is known as accountability persons. They might not know that that is the name I've given them, but there are people you talk to about your vision.
Mm-hmm.
You decide to be quiet, not that you're not doing it, but you decide to just lay low. They will now call you on the phone, and you're like, why did I have to tell Victor about my vision? Why did I have to tell Chidi about? Why did I have to tell Gospel about my? Why did I have to tell Ezinia about my vision? I don't know if you understand what I mean, because they are constantly trying to get you going, and they're like telling you, "Oh, you remember when you shared this with me? There was something you really said about it, and it was so profound. You said this, you said that," and it's like they're reminding you
Yeah.
of what you said when you were really vibed up about your vision, when you were so ignited to, in fact, let's go, let's do it today, let's do it tomorrow. They are there to constantly stir you and help
Yeah.
you and hold your hands and just
Yeah.
remind you that this is what you said you're going to live for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. We're here to
Mm-hmm.
support you. So
Mm-hmm.
embedding yourself in that network is really important. Embedding yourself in a network that you have a healthy competition. Let me maybe not healthy
Yeah.
competition, but I don't know what word to replace that with, because it's also
Well,
good.
it's what
Because
we say, Dr. Mara, is what we say, we call our community home is a catalytic community. The
exactly,
job of a catalyst, once you drop it in a chemical reaction, automatically things begin to happen that didn't previously happen.
absolutely, that's a very good. So you need people like that, because what happens is that you might even relapse to mediocrity.
Yeah.
You might relapse to doing things but not doing it excellently. So you need people who would be able to have their eyeballs and be open to criticism. So be open, no, because these people would tell you things that might be uncomfortable, but it's all about you being humble to receive that humble, eating that humble pie and know, oh yes, it's for the greater good. It's for the great. They're not telling me this. It's not a reflection about me. It's a reflection about what needs to be done. So you need that sort of atmosphere. You need that community of people that would just keep you going. And I would say something I love so much. I have what is known as my daily affirmations,
Yeah.
right? Daily affirmations. Now, and of course, they are all laced up with scriptures. Laced up with scriptures. You just feel like that moment when you felt really on top of your game, right? Take a notebook, take a jotter, take a poster, take whatever it is. You write it down clearly, what you felt, that feeling. Use that feeling to pour out your heart on paper with a pen. Because
Wow.
there will be a moment when you
Wow.
are down. All you
You
have
need
to
to
do
go
is to
back.
pick up.
Yeah.
When you pick up that jotter
Yeah.
or manner or whatever it is you've written
Yeah.
and you look at it, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I don't know, but for me, I draw a lot of strength from that alone. I have,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
you have the pictures on the wall that inspire, you have the mind
Yes.
mapping, you have everything. Put it
Yes.
down. When the Bible talks about writing the vision,
That's exactly
making
where I
it
was going
plain,
to. Wow. 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 Awesome.
it's like I said, it's not a
You know,
sprint.
Amara, sorry to just interrupt
Yes,
there.
go on,
You know,
go on.
what you just said is so profound. And I remember that one of the days where I was teaching on my signature coaching program, and one of the modules actually speaks to, you know, sustaining the vision, right? What the, you know, how to sustain the vision. And when I was teaching, I said, and I pulled out from that scripture, that usually when we think, write the vision, make it plain, that he may run that readeth it. Far too often, what we think is about the visionary writing the vision, then handing what he wrote to other people so that when they read, they will run. No, I beg to disagree. When we are saying write the vision, because there is an excitement, a dose of energy, a quantum of energy that is released when you're given a vision. And that's why you're so excited and you're like, let me do this, let me do that. And what Dr. Amara is saying is that that experience, that euphoria that you feel at the time when you caught the vision, draw it, write it. If you can draw it, draw it. If you can write it, write it. If you can sing it, right? It's now telling you that there will be a time when you don't feel like running. There will be a time where you don't feel like walking. There will be a time when you don't feel like doing. When that day comes, go back to what you wrote. When you read it, you will not only walk, you will not only stand up, you will start running. Because strength comes from the energy that was handed to you when the vision was given to you. And that is why the practice of journaling is so important. Like, I have my journals fill up so fast. In fact, I feel incapacitated when a journal is not near me, because I mean, but thank God for phones right now. But you know,
Mm.
sometimes I like to still operate old school. I like to write, underline, draw, circle, you know, and all that. But you should have a
Yeah,
journal.
I wanted to
Okay.
say something in line with that as well. Something that has been exciting me recently is around, because a group of people have been harassing me to write a book, like a book that has my name, just my name on it, and share my life journey, share my experience and all of that, because it will be inspirational for others to read it. And I've been struggling to actually put pen to paper. But another thing that I've started off doing is, when I'm really excited about something, when I get an idea, right? I put my voice note on my phone, and I'm actually reading, you know, like you read a book to someone and you're like telling, maybe not a book, but that idea. I'm reading it and recording myself talking about it.
Wow.
Two
Wow.
things, like I might not have my journal with me, and secondly, I just want to remember at that spur of the moment, that burst of insight, what I was thinking. So I would record myself on my phone, and most times I find, just when I'm down or when I don't feel fired up as I used to, just playing some of those recordings that I have put down on my voice note, wow,
Amazing.
it's inspirational. And let me just also add this, let me add this. Schedule, you know, where you have your to-do lists, where you put, I have to go to the bank, I have to take my son to school, I have to go to work, I have to, I always say to people, like, schedule your joy, schedule your happiness on your calendar.
Yeah. Say that
Like,
again.
I'm gonna have like a 10 minutes phone conversation just to get a burst of joy or happiness. Get those people. You know, the thing is, a lot of times when people feel less about their vision or life, is always they are focused on people who they are not even supposed to be focused on. People who don't care about their vision, and you're focused on, oh, this
Exactly.
person said, this person is not doing, this person is not encouraging, that
Yeah.
person is not this. What about the people right in front of you that have been encouraging you? Right? Focus on that. Like, put your energy there. Schedule your joy. Call them. Oh, if you have nothing to say, just appreciate them for being a part of your journey. Appreciate them for being a part of your life. Appreciate them for being an inspiration. And I cannot emphasize how much I schedule my. I have some acronyms, and when I call those people, like, and I begin to sound those things, they're very local stuff, like they're not posh at all. Like, I begin to sound those things, like it's my. They know that I'm in that space with them. They know I can just behave anyhow. They know me, right? And I
Yeah.
just spend time. And do you know how much energy I draw from that? And it's now become a habit. One of those people I would mention her is my sister. She's here in the UK. I mean, I, there's no morning that I don't call her on my way to work. There's something it does to me. There's something it just lifts my spirit. Just having that conversation. It might not be anything. It might just be some random whatever. But I have scheduled that time. And I think that people should do this more, where you
Yeah.
focus so much on the people that actually bring joy to your life and
Yeah.
talk with
Yeah.
them, give back to
Yeah.
them rather than the
Yeah.
people who don't really matter. So
Yeah.
schedule your joy, schedule your happiness.
My goodness. Wow. Please, did you hear that? And what I hear you saying is put some intentionality to your happiness. Don't wait. How do I put it this? And that's because of the way we are created as women, right? We over emotionalize. So we don't want to schedule things like joy. We don't want to schedule things like romance. We don't want to schedule things like happiness. We want it to happen, right? But what so that it be that you were surprised, so that the
Yeah.
emotions, can be, and we over, oh my goodness, we over emotionalize. And I think the last two things, you see, the Holy Spirit has a way. I didn't even think about this, right? But I want you to speak to, because the reason why we were created the way we were created, the architecture, that's the womanhood, as it were, stands on, has a lot of emotions embedded in us. And why we were given those emotions was because we are nurturers, to raise our children, to have that maternal instinct, to have that foresight. But we're not given that emotions, right, to what word do I use, to short circuit ourselves from the things that are important, the things that have our names on them. So you discover that some people go into the business world or go into the professional space, and then we allow our emotions to supersede our judgment, and we cut ourselves short from what would have been a wonderful future or a very prosperous professional career, right? Just because we were over emotionalizing. My boss does not like me. See the way she's talking to me. Is it because she's wearing this hair? Look at her bag. Look at this. Oh, she talks to me this way. Who gave her the right to talk to me this way? Oh, my sister. Oh, my mentor. That kind of thing. So we lose what we should gain because we are over emotionalizing. I just want you to speak to how women can separate our emotions and get and that's the difference between us and men. A man enters a company and is vying for a contract, or has his eye on a particular seat on the career ladder. Man, if you want to call me stupid, please call me stupid. My eye is on the goal. They are not over emotionalizing. They call a spade, and not an Indian hoe or a farming instrument, as it were, right? So, how can we women take charge of our emotions so that we don't short circuit ourselves from a preferred future simply because we are over emotionalizing as regards our relationships with our superiors, our mentors, our bosses, our spouse, even with our spouses, right? And all that. How do we come into a place of emotional wholeness where we are whole on the inside, and we don't, we're not seeking validation from bosses, from mentors, and all that and all that. Please
Okay.
speak to that.
The first place to start is, who are you? Who are you? Have you come to understand who you are? I'm not saying who you are by other people's terms, or what my husband said that I am, or what my sister said that I am, or what my friend, or whatever it is who am I? How does God define me? Because I think the reason why we spread our energy around which we are supposed to pull together. It's a massive currency that we've got, the energy that we have, the emotional energy that we have. It's a massive currency as women. But the reason why we deplete it in other things is because we haven't quite understood who we are. Because if you based on the instances you've given to me, the reason why you would feel so bad about what someone has said or how somebody looks at you or how somebody takes you is because you haven't quite come to be comfortable with who you are. So you are seeking affirmation, you're seeking validation from other places. First thing is, who am I? Identify, do a SWOT. It's okay to do a SWOT analysis. Some people are scared of trying to identify their weaknesses and their strengths. Do a SWOT analysis on yourself. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? What are my It's not only organizations that do this. Even you as an individual can do that. You identify it. Okay, how then do I turn my weaknesses to strength? What can I do? What are the steps to say? And it's not something you can do overnight, right? You need to be, it's still a process. So how can I turn my weaknesses to strength? How can I turn my threats to opportunities? And you stay focused. Don't allow another person to sell you their vision. Because the reason why we are emotionally depleting ourselves is because we feel that, oh, that is a place I am supposed to focus on. You've just embraced somebody else's vision, not your vision, because you don't even know what your vision is. So you wake up every day, you don't have a plan, you don't know what you want, and then somebody puts a plan on you, and the person is saying, oh, you haven't done it well because you feel by helping this person do this, I would have a sense of fulfillment. Now I have done this for this person, and then I get a feedback that I think, how I consider really negative. No, you haven't identified who you are. As a person, you have to first of all identify who you are, and then begin to channel your energy to the right places. Open up yourself to growing. Open up yourself to unlearning. I give you an example. When I got married to my husband, I was so petty. Like, he said something to me, and like I'm not even speaking. Like, my face, like, I'll just be. He knows. He just sees my face, and it's there, right? Okay, communicate this, like verbalize it to me. I'm confused, I'm lost, and he's kind of confused. I'm not verbalizing it, right, to him. And I got to the point where I told myself, I'm damaging my relationship. I have to be intentional about what I'm doing, including my behavior, including my reaction, including my show of emotions. I have to be intentional about how do the other person feel about my emotions and how I exhibit my emotions, right? And I began to learn a lot. And you talked about something about men and compartmentalizing. Men are very good at it, right? I started to learn. And there's something my husband will always say to me, especially when I'm stressed about, oh, this person didn't do this. Oh, I was supposed to do this. He said, you can only control what you do. You cannot control what other people do. Focus on controlling what you are doing. That is the only thing you have a charge of. You cannot be in charge of somebody else's calendar or life, right? And it took me a while, but I embraced that. And do you know how much emotional energy that saved me? It saved me so much because I realized that I cannot be everywhere. I'm not Jesus Christ. I cannot be out there saving the world.
Yeah.
I can only focus on what I personally can do and be okay with the fact that you are limited with your capacity and what you are able to do part-time. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing that. Oh, why am I not doing all of this? You don't want to be. Don't let your vision strangle you. Remember what I said? That's something my husband will always tell me. Don't let your vision strangle you. Sometimes you say, you're always using all these acronyms. Don't let your vision strangle you. He said no, because I understand that the vision is so big. I know it's you're seeing it. It's like, oh my goodness, this is so massive. But you need to be able to work with it phase by phase. Phase 1, what do you want to achieve? What's your target for phase 1? How many months do you want to work with this? You achieve it, you have the outcomes, you tick it. You now launch phase 2. You do it that way. At least you're taking your fulfillments in bits, and you don't feel overwhelmed. There's progress. You're working on it. There's progress. And that's something people should, because I know as women, we are so driven. We have so much emotions. We want to do. But there's a time to ask yourself, maybe I need to organize it in such a way that I don't deplete my emotional energy.
Yeah, yeah,
Because don't forget that once you are overwhelmed, you begin to get exasperated, and then the people around you that are supposed to partner with you and help you work, you're chasing them away. So I think it's an amazing thing that we've got, but we need to come to a point that we
channel it
see
in the right direction.
our emotions, and have a strategy to put it in place, because your vision is not a sprint, is a marathon. And you just tell yourself that for your lifetime you've got your vision. How long is your lifetime?
Yeah,
So take it
yeah.
in baby steps, take it in bits.
Okay, thank you so much. So the final last, okay, at what point should you begin to worry about being stuck? That's a question.
Yeah,
Sometimes you feel the need. Okay, see what she's saying. Sometimes you feel the need to take a break or withdraw from what you've been called to do. At what point should you begin to worry about being stuck? You see this question. I think that Amara had leaned a little to it earlier, but let me just say something. You would need to incorporate into the architecture of your life the principle of a Sabbath. How do you Sabbath? Sabbath means taking out time, to replenish yourself in the presence of God, to replenish yourself just by rejuvenating. Like she said, her husband would say, don't let your vision kill you. Do you get? Don't let your vision kill you. So you will take out time. For some people, they have monthly Sabbats. That's one day a month. Why some people have quarterly Sabbat, so they don't take any break, and then after a quarter they take like 3 weeks or 2 weeks break. Depending on what works for you, you can do that for yourself. You don't always have to be out there. I mean, even Jesus had Sabbath for himself. The Bible says that most of the time he will withdraw to a lonely place, stay on his own, enter the wilderness for 40 days. These were times he was taking that time to rejuvenate himself and, how I put it, enforce his why, as it were, enforce his why. And I also want to also lean into the power. I don't know, I think that we have not, gleaned out the power that comes with confession, prophetic confession, right? Prophetic confession. There's something it does to your vision, there's something it does to you. And I do that for myself. When I notice that I'm feeling down, and I'll like, the Lord expands the vision in my heart, right? I will not drop the ball at any time. You keep confessing. Did you know why Jesus kept saying every time he will appear, he will announce, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I'm like, we know now, sure, you came to the earth to die. But he is saying, if I don't confess my calling, I cannot actualize my calling. If he didn't say I would die and rise up in the next 3 days, then there was no way he would actualize that. So two things are said, which Amara can also put in something to: the principle of Sabbath and the principle of powerful confessions. Glean out confessions for you that puts your vision alive, right? And then say them over and over and over again for yourself until you see them manifest. Amara, please, can you speak to that also?
Yes, just to, you've actually addressed the question, but something to add. When you are away and taking time to rejuvenate, there's something that happens. And I think that people don't recognize the power of that. And that is, whilst you're in a state of rest, whilst you're in a state where you are rejuvenated, you receive fresh insights. And this is where your journaling comes in, because that thing you have been struggling for, that has been stressing you out, and you're like, oh God, I can't figure this out. Oh, this is so overwhelming. It might be in your place of rest that you receive an answer to that. So all he had to do was for you to take down. So going on a break or going on a sabbat is not that you're just going there to just sleep. Sleep is part of it, right?
There
But
should
this
there
is
should be
where
an
this is where
architecture.
this is where you're not in your routine, like going to work or doing the things that you do routinely. So you're just like taking a break off the routine things that you exact your energy on. But then this spares you time to actually, it's about reading the word, opening up, and you cannot get stuck if you are engaging in an activity. You have to have a plan, you have to have an agenda for your rest. You have to have an agenda. You have to have,
Yeah,
okay, I'm going to finish
yeah,
a book, or you have to go with a book, a leisure book or whatever. You have to
yes.
maybe have a dinner or something with some friends, and just have a chat about life and vision. And don't forget, whilst you're doing that, be attentive, because be intentional, be present. Don't just do it
Mhm,
for the
mhm.
sake of doing it, because as you're doing that, the gems are dropping, and if you're not intentional, if
You
you're
don't
not
want to miss
present,
it.
you will
You
miss it.
miss it. So powerful, powerful, so
I
powerful.
don't know if
Like,
that was
oh,
helpful though.
you, no, it was. I don't know. Can you just drop in the comment section if that was helpful for you, Amara? I like, I like the perspective you brought to this answer. Some people, you're not just sabbathing, you're not in Maldives, just looking at the sky, right, and just snapping pictures that are Instagram worthy, and saying hashtag vacation goals, hashtag Sabbath goals. You should have a plan, you should have an architecture, you should have a structure, you should have a deliberately curated plan for what your Sabbath would look like. And if you're going on a Sabbath, the Spirit of the Lord will tell you usually what you should go with, who you should listen to in that time, the books you should read, when you should pray. And then I think also in Sabbath, there should also be loads, packs, meaningful packs of time dedicated to meditation,
Mm.
to just sitting still. The Bible says, be still and know. There's a knowing that comes from stillness, right? So just sitting still and say, you see me, I'm just still. Distill information into my soul. You go back and listen to webinars like this, podcasts, books, not too many, right? But something that speaks to the season that you are in. And that's one of the most powerful ways, because whatever you're experiencing, please don't you ever think, that's another thing the devil lies to us about, that what you're going through, no other person is going through it, or you're the only one going through it. There are times where I have what I call a spiritual, mental, physical block. I can't download anything. I can't write anything. I'm feeling overwhelmed. It happened to me in March, and I spoke with my sister. I think it was until April I was able to just take a break out of social media, and just relax. For me, if I didn't enter Sabbath immediately, I entered just relaxing. No, I'm not Sabbathing nothing first. I just went out 1 week of doing nothing. And then I now transitioned into Sabbath, and I came out refreshed. I came out renewed and invigorated. So it happens to the best of us, where you don't feel like doing. If I see your vision, it's like, who even sent him? Please just stay. But there's something higher that is calling. There's something, even Jesus experienced it. Jesus said,
Yeah.
if it is possible, let this cup pass over me. What was he saying? This vision, I am tired of it right now. So is it possible? Can we renegotiate this contract and let this? But what gave Jesus staying power was also his Sabbath. And he said, let thy will be done. Do you get? So that was like a prayer of consecration and sanctification. And that's where you get your power from. The final question before we call it a wrap today, because I know that a lot of people will also listen to this episode. I mean, some people are not here on the live call, but they'll go back to listen to it again. But I just want you to speak to this finally. As women, we juggle a lot. Like, we have so many balls that we are juggling, and we are expected not to let any ball fall at any time. Marriage, purposeful work, business, friendship, relationships. Earlier in the year, we talked about the 12 aspects of our lives, and having to just keep at par, with all these 12 aspects of our life. And I know that it is anybody who is juggling. I don't know anybody who is juggling more than you, Amara, in this life we're living in. Okay, I know I'm
There are other
exaggerating, I
people.
know, but I'm sure
Yeah.
you get what the picture,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes, I
I
do.
mean, you are a mother, you're a lecturer, you have a purposeful work you're doing, you also have friendships you have to sustain. You also, and then you are also in a country where you don't have, domestic help as easily as you would get it where we are. and yet you
Mm-hmm.
still have to keep the home front. You still have to
Yep.
also do your job in the other room. You know, I mean, I mean, these are
Very
necessities.
important.
Like you can't
Yes.
renegade on any of
Yes.
all these things. In
No,
fact,
you
like
can't
you can't
delegate. You
renegade.
can't delegate that one. You can't
You can't
delegate.
delegate it. Thank you. You can even you can delegate even if your lecturer work. You can say, okay, somebody lecture for me, but you can't delegate this one. So, I mean, how do you create balance in your life? I mean, take for example, yesterday, in fact, I almost felt very guilty pulling you into this call. In fact,
No,
yesterday night, I was saying maybe I should have just let her. You had a week,
it's
like
fine. It's
you had a
fine.
week that was full. You had work at school, you had something to do with your NGO, you had
Yeah.
responsibilities at home, you have a
Home.
son who, in the nation that you're in right now, cannot be left alone for too long. You can't just say, okay,
Yeah.
stay in the house. Don't worry, I'm coming. When I get to, you know what I mean? I would
Yes.
like, so you see, so I mean, so how do you create balance? And you're here today and you told me you couldn't even catch enough sleep, but you're
Yeah.
glowing still, meaning that you also have something that has to do, no, meaning that you're taking care of your body. You don't look overwhelmed or stressed, as it were.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
us, please, the
Okay.
simplest of terms, how do you create balance in your life?
Okay. Let me start with the fact that the person
You
that
can go on.
holds all of this together is God. Let me start with that. And I know why I say that because I just draw strength. And he is the one that coordinates, because sometimes you're clueless about certain aspects of your life. You talked about the 12 wheels of life, and you're kind of clueless about one aspect, and you just spend time in a place of prayer, and you draw insights, you get rejuvenated, and God is that sustaining, is that staying force in my life. I cannot overemphasize how important that is. Now, let me also look at the practical side of things. So now we're in the real world. Yeah, you after you pray, you open your eyes and life is in front of you. So you have to figure out how you're going to make things work out. And I am a big fan of scheduling. I schedule everything. You won't believe, like, I schedule even my lunch breaks, because if I don't, I'll forget. I'll get into meetings and meetings and meetings, and then I'll forget to go and have lunch. So I'm a big fan of scheduling. So when people say they woke up in the morning wanting to do something, and wanting, one friend, somewhere, they end up doing exactly the opposite of what they turned out to do in the morning. I can't understand how you allow somebody to have such power over you. I don't understand that, because if you really, really want, as a woman that has got different facets, if you really want to be successful without letting anything fall through, to the extent that you are humanly capable to, you need to have a lot of discipline. And when I say discipline, I mean a lot of discipline. You need to be in a point where you understand what you need to do, how you need to do it, and then you stay on course. So I schedule my my lunch. I schedule, if I have a parent evening for my son, I schedule it if I need to pick him up, because I might get so busy, with work, and I forget the time. I schedule it so my alarm will go off when I have to leave. I schedule all my meetings so that I don't double book the meetings. And also, I mean, I felt really guilty not too long ago when my son said to me, "You're not always at home. He's always daddy. You're always coming back just before bedtime." And I know he just said it, just a child. He just said it to me. And it got me thinking, like, okay, I know I'm trying to juggle all of this, and the father is, of course, there to support, but he still needs his mom.
His mother.
And I made a promise to him that you would never go to bed without seeing me and spending a bit of time with me. So I always make sure to come back. But the only way I can do it is, I'm a huge fan of waking up early. I'm a morning person. So typically on my day, because a lot of people ask me, oh, you have to be very practical about this, but I wake up really early, it's about 4:35 in the morning, and I'm on my bed with my phone. That's, of course, after saying my prayers. And I'm doing the emails. So I do all the emails, because I know sometimes I have to go do the school run. I don't get to work until 9. So whatever is urgent, I've treated that before going into work. And then it just helps you in the day to just unpack, because a lot of times you go into work, especially in the profession that I am, it's heavy on admin, right? So I unpack all of that. I go there and I do what is called batch cooking on a weekend. So I can
Okay.
have like a Friday of shopping food stuff. I spend like the first hour, part of the evening on Friday, just prepping the meat, prepping all of that. And then on a Saturday, very early in the morning, I do the cooking. And I can only do that once a month. I mean, when I say batch cooking, it's serious, like serious batch cooking. I cook to fill up. I do the soup, I do the stew, I do all the sauces, and I fill it up. And that way, I'm not stressed in the week. Oh, I have to cook
Yeah.
this. I have to. So I'm
Yeah.
not cooking everything from scratch. I'm just using what I've got to just make like rice or make whatever it is, quick food and all that. But the
Yeah.
sauces are all there. The soups are all there. So that's one thing. You have to be disciplined. That's the only thing I can say, because you cannot say because I'm working or I'm a professional, I don't have time for my family. I don't have time for my husband. A lot of things fall through on the home front if you are not if you're not watching. As a woman, there are things you can pick up. If you're not there, if you're not present, it will fall through. So it takes a lot of
Yeah.
discipline and time management. Really important.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
speaks to people having respect for other people's time. So when you
Yeah.
say to somebody, I'm going to meet you at 12, or when there is a meeting scheduled and you've made a commitment to attend that meeting, I mean, it's so disrespectful of people's time that they make out time to show up powerfully for you, only for you not to be present, to just show respect and glean from knowledge. And I think that's something that really needs to be addressed, because some people don't see time as value. Time is a lot. In fact, time is life.
Yeah.
So if you show respect to people's time,
Yeah.
that means when people are giving you audience, you should understand that they're given a part of their life just to give you audience. And you should respect people and not waste people's time by keeping them preoccupied with things they're not supposed to be preoccupied with. So that's all in a nutshell.
Awesome. Please, could you just share, do you have apps that you use for your scheduling? How
Yeah.
do you,
So
okay, can you
for
share
for
the
for
apps?
meetings, I use Calendly for meetings. So I have specific times that maybe if it's for my personal work, I have like a scheduled time, and I share that link with my audience that would need that sort of service from me. And then I share that they will schedule, and then I know it's all there. It's synced to my calendar. I also use a lot of my Google Calendar as well for work related things, but you should also find a way to sync those things like Calendly, for example, to that. And for people who use the Office, Microsoft Office suite, there's the Teams. So,
Yeah.
it's got a nice, and you can color code your meetings. So the ones that, for example, for me, the ones that are more like family oriented, I color code amber. For the ones that are work related, usually red, because they are urgent, they have to go, they have to be done. And the ones that are maybe like my ministry related stuff, I code them green, so that when I look on my calendar, because it's work and everything is on there, I with the colors I can tell where my time is going. And I even schedule even the church service on a Sunday and how long I have to spend in church. So that's how, because on a Sunday too, we do a lot of coaching for couples and all that. So that's something we also need to factor into
Yeah.
our own plan.
Yeah.
And we also schedule our rests and just having
Yeah.
time with family and
Recuperation.
spending time. Yes. So
Okay.
that's one of the apps. There's so
So
many of
does
them.
your
Um,
does your when you schedule, does it go off as an alarm, or you have to keep it before you so that you can see what was scheduled?
No,
You
I
understand what I
set it.
mean?
I set it to beep. So if I've got something scheduled for, say 9 o'clock, I schedule my alarm. My alarm goes off 15 minutes to time just to remind me that I've got something in
Yeah.
15 minutes. So
Yeah.
even if I'm
Yeah.
not that prepared, I've got 15 minutes
Understand.
to
So
sort myself out. Then for
awesome.
people who are like social media business women, there are apps that you can schedule all your posts. You can do it in
Yeah.
advance, and then it
Yeah.
just automatically just posts
Yeah.
itself on whenever you need it. So I think these days technology has been really, really useful. There's
Yeah.
also a note taker for some people who are not very good at writing and they just want to take some notes, verbal notes. So there are some note takers that can transcribe what you're saying.
Transcribe what to say.
Exactly. So many things that are out there that could be used. And I could share maybe in a different section from a technology point of view. how you can use technology to enhance your time management, for example. So
Yes, yes, yes. That's a totally different class. And I heard
yeah,
a time management coach say something that I thought was so profound. And she said, whenever you don't tell people how to use your time, you are disrespecting yourself. And that was just so profound for me. Like that's you're just disrespecting yourself. Like when you manage your time and show people how to manage the time that you have accorded them, you are showing yourself some respect. Thank you so much, Amara. Like I will personally go back on this call and just glean and glean and glean and glean knowledge. Thank you so much for being such a blessing. I mean, it's been 1 hour, 55 minutes. Oh my goodness, of wisdom, catalytic wisdom, uncommon wisdom, practical. In fact, that's the one I like, practical wisdom. Okay, we just said that. We just did that. We talked about the apps. We talked about the apps, Calendly, your alarm, Google Meets, and even your alarm, your Google Calendar also. You can schedule on your Google Calendar. These are just the basic ones, and I think if you have these ones, is enough, right?
yeah,
It can do the job. So you can do that and schedule your day, schedule your meetings, be a person. And then another thing, that's another class totally. Let's just leave it. Thank you so much, Amara. Thank you, Dr. Amara. God bless you. Can you just tell her a God bless you in your heart? Tell her a God bless you, verbalize it, write it down. We love you so much, and we just hope that you'll be on this call again soon again to teach us on time management as it regards 21st century technology. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, if you're watching this video again on our YouTube channel, please don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to put in your comments, hit the like button. We love you. Till next month, we'll have our next handout. See you. Bye.